Hello and welcome to everyone here. My name is Lottie Hedden. I'm a Senior Director of Customer Success here at Postscript, and I am so pleased to welcome you here today. Quick question as we are starting off. I encourage everyone to drop some responses in the chat, but who in your life sends you the best texts? Presumably, it is a friend or a parent. We'll see what people have to say. I doubt that many of you in the chat are going to name a brand, but since we are all merchants and marketers here, you probably do have a pulse on brands that are doing SMS very well. But yeah, best friends, partners, parents. But what if you were a brand who sent texts that friends talked about? Texts that were so engaging that your customer support team needed a heads up before a campaign went out because you knew that so many responses were going to come in. That is what we're going to be talking about today. It is likely that in the not so distant future, our phone inboxes will end up with a promotions tab, much like email. So how are you going to make sure that you don't end up in a junk folder? And engagement is going to be key there. The brands here today are already doing this. We have Amanda Schnitzler, the growth manager at Lomi. Lomi is an odor-free, pest-free, smart kitchen composter that turns your food waste into plant food in less than 4 hours, which is amazing. We also have Hillary Lemonick. She is the senior manager of content and influencer marketing at Super Coffee. Super Coffee is a healthy alternative to sugary coffee drinks like frappuccinos and other iced coffee and energy drinks. And they're in some of the top retailers nationwide like Walmart, Kroger, and Walgreens. And we're also pleased to have Shannon Haskin, customer lifecycle and retention marketer at Kizik. Kizik are the world's first hands-free shoes, and their parent company, Hands-Free Labs, has a licensing partnership with none other than Nike. So an amazing panel. They have some awesome learnings for you all, and I am really, really excited to share those with you today. But before we get started, some very quick housekeeping. Please use the chat throughout the webinar. We love engagement, keeps it extra interesting. I love to see the conversations. And if you have a specific question, drop it in the Q&A portion. We will have a Q&A at the end, and I will also be snagging some of the questions live as our panelists go through examples. So please, if you want to go deeper on something, drop it in there. We will address it if there is time. And I'm also going to start us off with 2 quick poll questions. So first question. Where are you in your SMS journey today? Actively texting, not yet starting, maybe you're up on Postscript already, trying to get a pulse for where our audience is. All right, nice. Most people are already texting, which is awesome to see. A range of platforms out there. And some people who are looking to start. An exciting part of the journey. All right, next question. What industry are you in? We have panelists across a wide variety of industries today: food and beverage, fashion and apparel, home and lifestyle. And I would love to know what other industries are here on the call. We've got some beauty, health and wellness. Lots. Oh, we've got a good industry spread here. Some tech. Awesome. Good news is learnings for all industries today. Some other nice range. This is going to be good. We'll be able to share a lot of relevant content for all of you. So thank you for those. All right. To warm us up, I'm going to start with a question that we always like to ask our merchants, which is, how do you use your SMS channel? And what does this channel mean to your brand? So Amanda, let's start with you. What is Lomi's take on SMS?
Yeah, I would say for me, so I've really always valued email just because, it's something I've been working with longer. But I would say in the past 6 months, I've kind of come to realize that SMS has just really proven to be a channel that's just as effective, if not more. We always see our engagement rates are always higher. It's easier and quicker just to interact with your subscribers and customers. And we even have weeks where SMS will actually outperform email at this point. And I personally really like that you get that conversational piece, which you don't get with email as much, I would say. It's really quick to just set up an interactive campaign or flow. And when a customer sends us an SMS and our team replies, we sometimes get responses like, oh, I didn't know somebody would actually reply to this. And I think that personal touch is just really, really important these days.
Awesome. Well, our mission statement is to make SMS the #1 revenue channel for all of our merchants. And so it's awesome to hear that that is happening intermittently for your business. Did not pay Amanda to say that, but SMS is certainly powerful. And I sense we will probably see a pattern here when it comes to SMS versus email. So Shannon, same question. Talk to us a little bit about SMS at Kizik and how you leverage that program and how it's important to your brand.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with Amanda. I've been doing email longer than I have been doing SMS, but a lot of times email just kind of feels like you're throwing something out there. There's no interaction. Whereas SMS always feels like its own kind of moment and opportunity. So I'm probably not alone in the fact that like my inbox has 2,000 plus, promotional emails, and oftentimes it's check all, delete all. But I do see every single SMS that comes in from all the brands that I'm following. So this is definitely a growing channel for our brand. And a lot of it is informing our subscribers about like new colors, new styles, but there's so much more room to grow, like the depth of the brand, by sharing like brand moments and stories and making it more than just a sales channel.
I love that. It definitely is a powerful, I love the comment around its own moment, and thinking about the depth of your relationship with your subscribers is super, super powerful. All right, Hillary, same question for you. Talk to us about Super Coffee and how you all view SMS as part of the overall marketing strategy.
Yeah. So unlike Amanda and Shannon, I came into Super Coffee and inherited email and SMS at the same time. And that was my first time leading the department CRM wise. So I've been able to compare both channels sort of live as I've run it at Super Coffee. And no, Lottie did not pay me to say this, but I do prefer SMS marketing, and I've seen a lot more success immediately, which we all have short attention spans now with digital marketing. So it's really become our reliable source of community engagement, whether that is to push a sale or a product in the hopes of a conversion, or more just conversational messaging, going back and forth with our customers, asking them a question, asking them for their help on a new product launch. So whenever, and we'll get to this later, whenever we need help or we want a community opinion, of course, sometimes we turn to social, but a lot of times I recommend turning to our SMS list first, because we know the response rates are so high for us.
Awesome. I already am loving the early theme of tapping your SMS community for those learnings, because it is such an engaging place to be, which is a perfect segue. I want to take us a bit deeper into why it is so important to have one-on-one conversations with customers and how that benefits your all's brands. It's harder to measure conversations. It can be so easy to think about your SMS channel and really focus on just campaigns with a CTA to shop or direct someone to a sale or the latest promo. But we all know that conversations really, really matter. So I would love to hear an example from each of you where you did leverage a conversational campaign and that drove a strong result for your business. And Amanda, we will start with you.
Yeah, so we did one around Black Friday, and it was a campaign where we sent out an SMS and we said, what's the reason you haven't purchased yet? And we gave them 4 different options to choose from. And then based on their answer on which one they chose. So for example, if they said price was the barrier, we had automated replies going back, and then just really breaking down the barriers as to why they shouldn't have that. So if it was price, we said, hey, like our Black Friday sale's on now. It's the best time that you're going to save all year. And I really love that this type of campaign, you kind of have data that you can share with the rest of your team. So you can say, hey, like this many people are worried about the price or worried about the size. And then that can potentially allow us to make changes to our strategy for how we're what we're putting out in our marketing.
Totally. I love using it for those learnings and really tapping into that data that is available to you within that list. I know that this was a Black Friday, Cyber Monday campaign from last year, which was before a product update we made. But I really love this example because I want to highlight a recent enhancement to our Flow Builder product, which is approximate matching for subscriber responses. So if you're interested in doing a campaign like the one that Amanda just showed, you can now make sure that you are aligning your customer with the right response, even if they have things like typos, spelling errors, etc. It makes it easy to then branch off those responses in a very conversational way that feels incredibly natural. They don't need to type in exactly what you've said perfectly. And so that is a really, really powerful feature for those who are on Postscript and maybe not already leveraging it and want to try getting some learnings from their list, like Amanda just showcased. All right, Hillary, same for you. I would love to hear about a conversational send that Super Coffee did that worked well for you all.
Yeah, so one was our New Year, New You campaign, or New Year, New Brew. Try and cut through the noise a little bit with the copywriting. But we sent out on the 1st of January this year a digital coupon where you could go to any store in the US that we're sold in, buy a bottle of Super Coffee, text us the receipt, and then in partnership with a technology called Aisle, we were able to reimburse that individual via Venmo or PayPal within probably anywhere from 1 to 5 hours. The reimbursement time is very quick. And we figured that this was a great time. People tend to wake up a little bit tired from whatever they chose to do the night before on New Year's Eve. So it was a very pertinent use case for our product and of course, to plug in SMS marketing here. And we saw a lot of responses, and we even saw some people take to Instagram stories and tag us in like, thanks for the free coffee. I needed it this morning and heading into the first week of the new year. So we really saw the positive impact conversationally on SMS with this campaign, but also it was exciting to see it cross over to other platforms.
Yeah, it is amazing to look at the ways in which you can use your SMS program and also help drive towards other powerful results for your business, getting people to purchase in store and make those buying habits, tying it back to SMS, and then, tagging you all in social, just a really cool sort of flywheel effect there. All right, Shannon, last but not least, would love to hear about a conversational campaign that you sent that performed well for Kizik.
Yeah, so we've done a couple. The first was National Pet Day. I can't take credit for the idea because it came off of Postscript's newsletter for April, and it was actually talked about in the last webinar, testing out the feature where people can text you back pictures. So I have 2 dogs, and it was National Pet Day, and I was like, we're going to do this. We got over 2,000 responses back of people sending their pet pictures. It didn't convert quite as high as some of our other campaigns, and that wasn't exactly the point because it had several benefits that I would almost rate higher than sales. It engaged our customers. People really love to show off pictures of their pets. I got names, I got backstories, I got a lot back. It also put a face to the SMS program. That's actually me. And in doing so, I hope that people would feel like there was actually someone behind the SMS. And there is, it's me. And the unsubscribes would hopefully be less moving forward because, you're kind of thinking this is a person, not a robot. And we did get a lot of really good UGC, over 70 images of people's pets with their Kiziks that we have permission to use on social, on email, and various platforms. I definitely plan to use this in the future. Show us your Kiziks while you're on vacation, show us before and after pictures after you've cleaned your Kiziks using our cleaning kit, show us you and your kids in the matching Kiziks because we've got adult and kids. So it's a really good, I have no complaints about how that one went. And then we also did the Super Bowl touchdown contest. For this one, we wanted to do something for the Super Bowl, but it didn't feel super relevant for an email campaign. So I created a flow that asked people who they thought was going to win, and they had to text us back their answer before kickoff. If they were right, they had the chance to win a free pair of Kiziks. It was promoted on social, but you could only enter through SMS, which was a really good way to get new subscribers, and people definitely engaged. They were very passionate about who they wanted to win the Super Bowl. So there were a ton of good responses for that one too.
Pets and sports. People care deeply, deeply about those things for sure. Awesome. Already some amazing learnings from those examples, tapping your list for data that you can leverage, helping SMS drive towards goals in other parts of your business, making sure that you're getting UGC from your subscribers. Really, really awesome. I'd love to chat a little bit now about the human interactions between subscribers and your brands and what the approach is there. So, Shannon, you mentioned the National Pet Day campaign. How did you set up responses for that? Was it an automated process? You talked a little bit about making sure that it felt human. Were your reps interacting with and engaging with people? I'm curious what that looks like for you all.
Yeah. So initially when that campaign launched, I was like, I'm going to text everyone back individually. Like that's going to be the thing I do. And I spent all day doing it. I didn't even make a dent. They just, as soon as I'd answer a bunch more had come in. So we do have a social response team, but I actually didn't warn them that I was sending this campaign. So I felt super bad because of just the sheer volume that was coming in. So in this case, I didn't set up an automated response because I didn't know how people would respond to this. And since I had sent the message introducing myself, I felt that it would be super important to get a human response back, right? You don't want to say, hi, I'm a human texting you, and then get a robot response. So the goal for us for sure is to always have our reps engage with people and the messages that are coming in. We try really hard to respond to everything. And what I'm learning from this process is that people just want to know that they're being heard.
Yes, that is probably true in all aspects of everyone's life. That's an amazing number of responses. And I will say, if you're going to get inundated with something unexpected, might as well be pet pictures. I'm sure the social response team was not too upset given the influx of cuteness there. Hillary, your CSM, Stephanie, has talked about one Super Coffee customer that texts with your brand over and over again. And we pulled some examples, and it is incredibly charming. These interactions are really only interactions that you can do over text. We don't really have that same sense of ongoing conversation over live chat, and subscribers don't engage over email like this. Why is this so important to Super Coffee as a brand to engage in this way?
I think it really goes back to my first point with building community. And of course, as Shannon said, we hope that the conversions and the revenue will come, but building this engaged community over time actually does help with those KPIs that many digital marketers have to meet. Maybe it's increased average order value from these really engaged customers because they both subscribe and they buy our limited time flavor around the holidays. Maybe its lifetime value becomes longer than even they intended to. This example in particular, Patty, the whole marketing team at this point feels like they know her, and our head of CX, he now keeps an eye out for her and answers almost every text message himself, or his right hand ends up from our social response team responding to her as well. And we get just as much joy out of speaking with her as we think she does with us. But I think this conversation style that myself, Shannon, Amanda are all pursuing, it makes sense because you want to feel like you're texting a friend, and you want to know that there's someone on the other side of the screen. And so many of us make plans or naturally converse with people in our lives via text. So it becomes this really authentic, normal interaction. It's just a brand on the other side. And as much as you could email us back or DM us, I'm not sure that you get the same effect or care given from the brand as I feel like my team gives when it comes to SMS conversations.
For sure. I appreciate the call out too. We text our friends. Where are we going to be? What are we going to do? And you all are being very thoughtful about treating texting like texting. You do have a thread contained in one place. You can leverage that differently than email. And that is incredibly, incredibly powerful. We've talked a little bit about this so far, but I want to take us further down the path of asking your customers for something over text. Maybe reviews, maybe photos of them with their new order. Texting is such an intimate space. It is so much easier to collect UGC or get candid feedback via text than any other marketing channel. And so I would love to talk a little bit about how you all have been able to harness this as part of your SMS strategy. And Amanda, we will start off with you and an example from Lomi.
Yeah, so I feel like we all know the importance of UGC these days. So we actually just implemented a new post-purchase automation that requests photos from our customers. And we actually just got that up and running a couple weeks ago. And that was inspired by the last webinar from Postscript that I watched. There were some really great ideas with examples of this. If you have a new customer and if they absolutely love your product and they want to talk about it, I think they're really excited to share photos back of how they're using it or, what they love most about it. And it's just a really great way to be able to actually interact with your customers while collecting those UGC and reviews. I'm really excited to see just how this one performs over time and just see the type of UGC we're able to collect and, how we're able to use that across different channels like social or email and just really making the most out of that UGC.
Awesome. I love that you got an idea from a webinar. I'm sure many people today are taking notes and taking ideas from all of you. A quickie in the chat, Amanda, if you don't mind answering this, but Zach asked if when you are collecting those UGC and reviews, are you using any sort of UTM or tracking in those SMS flows? How are you thinking about sort of tracking that internally?
Yeah, we don't right now. So we just set it up a couple weeks ago. If we feel like it's something we want to do in the future, we might look into it. But as of right now, we just, we have the request going out, we have the photos coming back in, and then, we'll interact just based on our customer experience team will interact with the customers.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We could definitely go deeper on some attribution in the Q&A if people have more questions on that. All right, Shannon, I'm going to hand it over to you. Is Kizik asking for any feedback from subscribers over text in any unique ways?
So we recently had a shoe design contest where people could submit designs, and if they won, that shoe would come to life and they'd actually get a pair. And so we promoted it via SMS on the last day to enter, if they hadn't seen it already, hey, get your entries in. This was a good way to promote the social channel via SMS because they don't necessarily have the same crossover of subscribers. So it had been promoted other ways, but it hadn't had the direct message that had gotten across via SMS. We wanted, of course, as many people to participate as possible. So reaching out in that way and making people aware of it got more participants than we had previously. And we also have a couple post-purchase automations. The first one you get comes about 3 weeks after your order and says, hey, we hope you're loving your shoes. Here's 10% off if you buy within the next 24 hours. The second one is a very simple thank you, says, hey, you know how to reach us. If you've got any questions, we're here. But the best one, I think, comes after our third purchase, and that is definitely the most personal. It thanks them and tells them they've reached VIP status, and it shows a picture of some of our team there. And, it's a genuine thank you because we couldn't do this without them. But the most important part of that automation is asking them, how has being hands-free made a difference in your life? And the amount of responses we get, honestly, surprises me because they're often very personal and very vulnerable. But I think those are definitely the most important. If someone is willing to be that vulnerable with you, then you've reached them as a customer kind of on a totally different level that goes beyond just a transaction.
Yeah. I am sure you've heard some very powerful stories, and it must be fun for you all. And I'm sure it's fun for your customers to engage with you as well. I am loving all of the interaction in chat. There is a Q&A tab, and a cool feature of that is you can upvote it too. So I'll snag some as we go, but also if you saw a question you're particularly interested in, upvote it. We'll make sure we get to it at the end. So thank you all for being so engaged. All righty. Hillary, same question for you. Talk to us about how Super Coffee uses SMS to ask for feedback from their fans.
Yeah, I think of it in two ways when I'm thinking about these more community engagement campaigns. One is just fun. Part of our mission is mass producing positive energy. Of course, our product has 200 milligrams of caffeine, so that's real energy, but also our brand and our mission. So spreading positive energy to people, which is what we did with a playlist campaign that we run about once a quarter. This most recent one we did sort of around the timing of Coachella in the last few weeks. but usually once a quarter, we have some sort of themed image. Maybe it's holiday flavor with earmuffs on, or these headphones, or a summer bottle on the beach with headphones on. And then we ask our SMS list to give us like their top song they're listening to right now, to help us curate a Spotify playlist for a particular month or season or holiday. We always see a really high response rate here. 2,000 responses for our holiday requests last year, which was quite difficult to sift through all those songs to pick our favorites. But we actually do curate a playlist. We try to release it within 2 weeks of the initial campaign. We do have a Drink Super Coffee Spotify account that's solely curated by our customers. And then sometimes we offer a discount, or we tell the SMS list will enter them into a giveaway for an Amazon gift card or some type of reward for participating if they did submit a song. But people really get excited about this, and they love seeing that their song got selected to be on the playlist. They feel, a big sense of community, that they were involved in helping us do something. And then the second way we use it is definitely more in a research or decision-making way. If I know that we're trying to design new merchandise, or we're thinking about new innovation and flavors, a lot of times I like to share that with our SMS list only. I don't even bring it to social. And I've had our SMS list vote on t-shirt designs, on new flavors that we should try at HQ with our product innovation team. And people are really engaged. The thought of peanut butter and jelly flavored coffee, or s'mores, or some type of limited edition flavor, we get a lot of excitement, because this list is our loyalists. They want to wear our product, or they want to wear, the merchandise, and they want to drink and buy more of our product.
I love that. I really like just the range of these examples, both to just use SMS to engage and be playful, and almost teach your subscribers that we will interact with you here. You can expect to kind of engage with our brand and get to know us on a deeper level via some of these examples, like the Spotify playlist, but then also really tangible data that you use to drive forward your strategy, be it a drop, be it a learning about why someone maybe isn't purchasing. And it's just fun to see all the creative ways people can use it. And I also love seeing people dropping ideas in chat too. That's extra fun. All right. So we've talked a bunch about sort of capturing compelling data today around subscriber interests, what they might be shopping for, their actions, why they may not be shopping. And all of this is happening over text. I would love to hear from each of you about how segmentation then becomes a part of your strategy, and what meaningful segments you've leveraged coming out of some of this data collection. So Shannon, let's start off with how the Kizik team thinks about segmentation.
Yeah, so I actually think one of our most meaningful and very untapped segments is people who have signed up for SMS. Since they get a 15% off code, we do a pop-up. That's how we get most of our subscribers, but have never purchased. So there's real potential here to start conversations, to build flows that reach out and ask, hey, what's stopping you from purchasing? Amanda kind of talked about it a little bit with that, you choose why you haven't purchased. Maybe they need extra help, or maybe they're on the fence, and it's a good time to let them know, hey, we have free shipping and free returns. It's so easy. Like, you don't need to worry about anything. A lot of our subscribers, when I look through them, they're receiving campaign after campaign after campaign, and they're still not unsubscribing, so the interest is there. It's just about what we can do and how can we personalize ourselves and start a conversation to build that bridge and connection and turn them into a customer.
Yep. I want to snag one of the questions, take a quick little detour, but Shannon, I presume your demographic has a wide range, and you've done a lot with responses. There was one of the questions around how you should think about an older demographic when it comes to SMS tech back campaigns. And I also imagine across all of these brands, you guys have a decent spread. Would love if you could share a little bit of context on that one.
Yeah, so we do have a pretty wide demographic, which is nice. We have everywhere from like young pregnant moms to, people who are retired and definitely need the hands-free shoes just to make their life easier. So a lot of our campaigns are generalized. We're saying, here's a new color, here's a new style. But those automations are definitely, where we segment, because we find based on people's responses, they lean one way or the other. Like, I'm using this for post-surgery, or I'm using this for my parents. And when we do those responses, we can tag those people, and then that can further funnel them into different automations based on the tags that we give them.
Awesome. I love that. You grow that over time. Some of this and a lot of these examples, which I think is really important, they're playful. And these brands are doing a really good job of training their subscribers almost in like how to engage. So Daphne, it's a great question, but I would say start. And then to Shannon's point, think about how you can tag, and that grows and feeds itself. Awesome. All right. I love, Shannon, that you tied that into segmentation, since that was the topic we're on right now. And I took us on a little detour. But Hillary, I'll bring us back. Talk to me about how Super Coffee leverages segments in a meaningful way for your all's SMS strategy.
Yeah, I think of two main scenarios that I use segmentation. The first one being from a location perspective. Of course, I know sometimes the phone number you're given whenever age you get a cell phone is not where you currently live now, but we still like to the extent that we can tap into using it from a geographical standpoint. Our HQ is in Austin, and we have a very large presence both at grocery in Texas, and then from a grocery and events perspective in Austin. We had a big event before, during, and after the Austin Marathon in February. We had a big cookout post race in the parking lot, open to the public. People could come by for food, snacks, Super Coffee post race to refuel. We had a shakeout run and some like helpful training at the track at UT. Like the month leading into the run, we partnered with Strava so people could join the group. So we sent a lot of messages this year, particularly to Texas residents, mentioning some of the programming we're doing in Austin. We had a charity pickleball event 2 weeks ago, and we sent that out only to SMS subscribers. And then the second way I would say we leverage segmentation is through, or when we have product launches. A lot of times we send out an email as well as post on social that something big or a new flavor is dropping soon. And the only way to access it early is through SMS. And I'm definitely seeing more and more brands create this sense of VIP or early access through their SMS lists because of the timeliness, speed to execution. It's just a little bit different versus an email landing in someone's inbox that you may find almost a week later, a couple days later. But we then send out our product launch to the SMS list usually a day early. So they have the early access, and we tap into those segments, which we build each launch. You have to, come in via email or social to get that VIP access.
I love the plug for SMS exclusive content. I know we're focusing on engagement today, but obviously a critical part of a healthy SMS strategy is a healthy list, which means list growth. And a great way to do that is ensure that there is exclusive content over SMS. Amanda, same question for you. Would love to hear a bit more about how you're segmenting Lomi subscribers based on some of those subscriber responses or actions that they've taken.
Yeah, so I actually think that our customer segmentation is actually one of our most powerful segments. I feel like your customers are, they're some of the most important people that you have on your list. And I think it's really important really to just nurture the relationship with them and build that sense of community so they don't feel like, they've just bought from you and then you've just totally forgot about them. So one example that we've done for Lomi is that when a customer purchases a Lomi 2 or more times, we have an automation set up where they'll get a thank you for becoming one of our VIP customers. And then we actually give them an exclusive email that only they have access to. So if they ever need to reach out, it's a VIP email that only this certain group of people have. And this is only sent out over SMS as well. They don't get it any other way. So I think it's just a really good opportunity to be able to surprise and delight those customers, especially if they're continuously coming back to your brand. And then another way that we also segment is a few of our products are sold on a subscription basis. So I think being able to segment based on whether or not someone is subscribed or not is really, really powerful just in the way of how and when you're contacting those people.
Yeah, great examples. Customers are so important, and making people feel special is so important and connected to your brand. Um, all right, before we dig into our Q&A, and we've got some really good and some meaty questions in the chat, which is exciting, but I've got a final question for each of you. I am sure it is one that is top of mind for many marketers watching this right now, which is, what is one thing you'd suggest every brand try testing when it comes to more conversation or even content driven send? What would you tell brands who are, maybe just doing the bare minimum over SMS? What's the first thing they should try out? And Amanda, we will start with you.
I would say just to start with something small that's going to give you valuable results, and just to realize that you don't have to do everything all at once. I think it's just about starting somewhere, and then you can slowly build out your strategy over time. So for example, I think a really good place to start that's, a really quick win is that prompt asking customers for UGC, because it's just a really great way to build that relationship, and be able to get something back in response. Or, if you want to learn more about your subscribers, you can send out like a fun pop quiz or ask them for feedback or anything like that. And I think you would be really surprised just how willing people are to engage with that type of content, because not a ton of brands are doing it. And I think people are so used to only seeing like launches and promos, and that's pretty much it from SMS. So I think people are really willing to engage when it's just something different. And honestly, I think the opportunities are just endless depending on your brand. And I think it's just about starting small and not overcomplicating it.
Yeah, just try it. I love that. Simple is good, right? Take a small win, see what learnings you get, let that sort of guide the next steps from there. And yes, there are endless options, which is part of what makes SMS so fun. All right, Hillary, an advice, a tip from the Super Coffee team.
I would say look at other content channels that you have already dug in on, social, email being two that probably come top of mind to everyone on this call, and leverage that content on SMS. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel and customize content to every single channel. Two examples of this are a recent video that we posted to our reels about how many grams of sugar are in a Starbucks Frappuccino. Since we're a no sugar brand and we're trying to, compete against some of these big brands. And the video performed really well in the first 24 hours. So I then took that content and I drafted a trivia question. How many grams of sugar do you think are in a Starbucks Frappuccino, with four options, and text us back. And if you get it right, you'll be entered into a giveaway or something. But in theory, I'm using the same piece of content twice. One place it's video, one place it's copy, but I didn't have to really rethink of a new fresh campaign for this Friday. And then the second thing that works really well for us being a food and beverage brand, I get a lot of recipes made in partnership with creators that go out on email and social. And I try to leverage our SMS list first and say, hey, hey, super fan, we have a new recipe live. It's a really healthy, indulgent smoothie or brownie recipe. Head to our Instagram to get the full recipe. And then I put the full recipe in the Instagram caption. So now I've gotten someone to click off of an SMS campaign and also go watch and hopefully engage with an Instagram post. So trying to leverage content across channels has worked really well for us.
I'm intrigued by your trivia question and would probably be scared by the answer, but I know that there are many people on this call who relate to trying to do more with less right now. That's kind of the reality of where the macro environment is. And it's really smart to tap your content across channels. And I really think the plug to use SMS to get people into your social, like use your channels to promote themselves, is really smart. That is a great takeaway. All right, Shannon, close us out before we shift over to Q&A. What is one tip you have for our audience?
Yeah, I think the one tip I have is to find kind of one thing and expand on it. So with Kizik, we found time and time again that as soon as someone tries on a pair and like slips their foot in, they almost always think of someone else who needs a pair. Like it happened to me. I tried them and I was like, my parents need a pair. My in-laws need a pair. I should have had a pair of these when I was pregnant. Like, the immediate like thinking of someone else has definitely been like a jumping off point for a lot of things. So in that case, build a campaign or automation around your one thing. And from there, you're going to find other valuable insights into your customer base when you have those conversations, which will give you then ideas for future campaigns that kind of just like builds one thing off after the other.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, just tapping that list for those learnings. Like you know things about your brand, obviously, use what you know, and then use that to sort of fuel the future strategy. Amazing. Awesome learnings today. We've got a lot of questions that have been popping up in the chat. So we're going to shift over to the Q&A portion today. Thank you three for sharing those examples and getting us started with some learnings. We're going to pull up a question up on the screen. As I mentioned earlier, you can upvote things you want to hear from, but we will run through a few of these and go from there. All right, I'm going to grab the first one while my team pulls those up. But we had a few questions around just training or preparing your customer response team, both in regards to volume and then also things like personal brand and voice. So kind of a two-parter, but there are a few questions around that general topic. Would love to hear from any of you on how you think about preparing your sort of response team as you're adding text in a more meaningful way that is becoming a two-way channel.
I can answer this one. Yeah, so for this one, I would say, like in terms of automation and photos and text, when we get those replies, we don't have anything to auto save it. But again, with when you're getting replies of UGC, usually what our team will do, and we do this on social as well, we always ask them if they're okay with us using it and just say like, hey, we really love this photo that you sent with your product, like we would love to use it on our social or in our email or whatever, and we just ask them first just to make sure that they're okay with it, and then we know that we're not going to run into any problems down the road or anything like that.
Definitely smart to sort of cross that bridge right away. Shannon, I know that you were going to jump in there too. I'd love your context on how you think about helping support your team on responding to messages as they're coming in from your SMS channel.
Yeah, so I think it just depends on the nature of the message. So like the National Pet Day was not an automated response, but actually the Super Bowl campaign was fully automated. So it just kind of depends on, I think, the context of the message that you're sending out, what kind of replies that you would expect to receive as a person kind of just dictates how you set those up.
And I know that Frank had asked to kind of go a little bit deeper on, first think like, should it be automated? And then if it is a campaign where it makes sense or the customer subscriber expectation is that like they're submitting, but it might not be an immediate human to human response. Any tips on how you sort of manage that inflow that your team has found to be successful?
I could hop in here. We definitely don't see quite as much content being replied back to us, at least in like video and photo format on SMS as we do on email or Instagram DMs. So it's a bit more manageable than it sounds like the Pet Day and Super Bowl campaigns that Shannon was up all night. But usually our team keeps an eye out for like the best photos or reviews that accompany the photo, and immediately we'll share them in Slack, since it's a safe place with our company and everyone's on Slack 24/7, the files saved down. And then usually we'll go back and forth if we want to ask permission for the photo or just go back to them and thank them. Also, there are kind of outlying times where a photo or a review is just so great in some way and so meaningful to the company that we'll actually go back to them manually and say, thanks so much for submitting this. We really appreciate your community engagement with us. We'd love to send you a free case, or we'd love to get your shipping info. We're, launching new baseball caps soon, or we add some sort of extra reward. And we try to do this like a couple times a month to select customers. And we feel like this works really well for us. It's just a small, nice touch. We've even had some of our customer success team write a handwritten note back to a customer that engaged with us so frequently on social and SMS, and they ended up posting the picture of our note to Instagram and celebrating our engagement back and forth with them.
That's awesome. People want to feel tied to brands, especially if you have, a mission or a stance, which your all's brands do. It is really nice to have that sort of two-way street. All right, we'll see if we get a question popped up on the screen. If not, I will just snag one. Awesome. Let's dig a little deeper into personal and brand voice here. Obviously, marketing and support, you all are working closely with one another. But do you educate your teams around how to kind of be in brand or what that looks like? I'm sure this is different company by company, but would love to hear a little bit about how you all think about having a consistent brand voice.
I'll go. We think about this a lot. It's really important to us, and we have a unique brand voice that has a little bit of like humor or sarcasm to it in a lot of our content. For me, when I joined the company and was meeting some people that were previously on customer response teams or new, it was important to have them sort of study and audit our social channels. I think that's where so much time on a lot of digital and content teams is spent right now, is towards social. And so a lot of the captions, a lot of the community management, my team on the social side is responding to customers is the same style we'd like them to take with our SMS subscriber base. So I think unless it's a large, a wide gap in age where maybe you are going to speak differently to someone in their 50s and someone in their 20s. But for the most part, we like to use social as an example and kind of build out like best practices and guidelines from there. And it's nice because social is accessible to anyone and everyone. So it doesn't have to be for them to have access to a document or a special deck. It's just out there for them to study.
For sure. Builds on kind of the doing more with less too. Use the resources you already have to help educate your team and set that standard. Shannon or Amanda, anything that you would want to add to this one before we move on to the next question in regards to thinking about your brand voice and how that comes through across channels?
I would just add, like for our team, like we have the same customer experience team that, manages the reply for our social, our SMS and email. So I think having that consistency is super important. And then, I think just until your brand really shines through in those responses, just having it be consistent is just really, really important.
For sure. People know what to expect and can always sort of feel like they're engaging with you. It feels more personal when it has that consistency too. We talked a little bit about this one live, but obviously only got one example, and I'm sure this impacts all of your brands. You all have a wide range, but let's talk about demographic, maybe dealing with an older demographic, maybe just a wide range, but how do you think about texting back when you're maybe not texting with people who are as familiar with it in their day-to-day?
So at Lomi, I would say our demographic, it varies a lot, but a lot of it is older. And I've found, we still are, the older demographic, they're still very, very receptive to SMS. And, maybe it's just testing different styles, whether it's, a pop quiz where they just have to reply with like a number, or then trying, something where they have to send their actual feedback. I think it's just about testing out and then really just monitoring the responses just to kind of see how people are responding to those different types of campaigns.
Sure.
Yeah, I would say think about how you might on a personal front converse with some of these demographics. And maybe if I'm conversing with a parent or grandparent, I'm not going to ask them, like what their favorite TikTok video was of the day. I might have a different conversation with my friends. So I think it's, similar to Amanda said, it's not too different for us, but there are small touch points, like maybe we don't use abbreviations or, certain social jargon. Or maybe if we just ask them for like, rather than send us a picture and let us know of a customer review or submit a video on Instagram, we just said, hey, what do you think of our mocha flavor? And that's something that from a taste bud perspective, anyone at any age could tell us why they do or don't like something that they've taste tested.
Yeah, and texting is so universal. I mean, across all demographics too at this point. And so I think it's a great, meet customers where they're at in regards to their interests, but can definitely tap it across a wide range. Nice. I like this. We're getting a little mix up some other types of questions, but any advice on industry specific flow creation best practices? So things that you all have built that really resonated, or tips and tricks on building strong flows. Hillary, why don't we start with you if you have some thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think for me, I think maybe it's like industry and product specific, but for us, our product, there's certain use case scenarios. So people probably aren't drinking coffee at 10 p.m. at night. So if we do set up flows and responses, we try to be thoughtful of like, when are we top of mind? And that's usually in the morning or during that like 3 p.m. crash. So for us, the product and the category we sit in, like time of day is important to us. Of course, we could send out a sale anytime, but it's a lot easier to have your creative campaign make sense for the use case of your product. So we send a lot of sales like in that early afternoon slump time frame, or on the weekends. It's usually before 10 or 11 a.m. If it's a recipe, we send it on a Sunday because we know people are grocery shopping, and then we set up that flow. So I think the use case for the product is definitely something to consider.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think timing with SMS is super important. Like, for example, if you're asking for UGC, I think it's really important that you're not asking for it too soon. You want to give your customers time to try the product, make sure they like it, So I think like making sure that that's timed out enough is really important. And then another example in terms of timing is we do bi-weekly Instagram lives with our CEO. And we send out an SMS for that an hour before, because SMS is just such a quick and easy way. You're on your phone. You don't want to send out the reminder for it like 3 days in advance because people are probably going to forget. So I think just timing with SMS is like one of the very, very most important things.
Yep, absolutely. Shannon, any tips and tricks on flows that have worked well for you?
Yeah, I think just like staying within what works for your brand. Like, you're going to want to talk about things that are relevant to the thing that you sell, like where are your Kizik's taking you, like you want to branch out because you want the variety and you want to kind of grab people's attention in different ways, but you want to stay kind of in your own relevant bubble, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yep, for sure. I think we snagged most of the ones in the Q&A. I appreciate the engagement. But before we wrap up, I saw one in the chat earlier where we had someone who is new to text, thinking about where do I start in May? I would love if we could veer into just sort of campaign content, anything on the horizon for you all that you're excited about to get some of those creative juices flowing for people who are new to SMS. And then we will wrap us up for today. And Shannon, maybe you can go first on that one.
Well, to be totally perfectly honest, we're going to start May out with asking for a playlist suggestions, because I thought that was such an excellent idea. So May is actually National Walking Month, which perfectly ties into shoes. So we're going to ask for people's, what's their favorite jam to walk to. And then we're going to curate a playlist and possibly have an event where we say, hey, everyone get out and walk and listen to the playlist and send us, your pictures of where you're at, what you're doing, stuff like that. So that's how we are kicking off May, actually inspired by this. So
I love that. I will keep an eye out for that and make sure to download that playlist. I'm a big walker. Hillary, what about from you?
Yeah, I think for summer selling season, as we like to call it, since we're predominantly a cold coffee brand. So Memorial Day to Labor Day is the biggest season for us. So two things I'm excited about. One is we send either Friday positivity or trivia texts. No promotions or discounts. We're not looking for your money on Friday. We're just looking to kind of have you think of us heading into the weekend. So we'll bring those back for the summer season. And then we also have a massive product launching exclusively a new product in the New York and metro areas in June. And then if it goes well, we'll expand nationwide. And I definitely will leverage the geo segmentation aspect of our SMS list. We'll probably have some in-person events, and we'll try and send texts like the day of or even an hour before, like Amanda said, if people want to stop by to try to get free coffee and try our new product.
Awesome. I like the plug that SMS. I mean, we've been talking engagement obviously today, but it's not just promos. You can share anything and everything over your list with your subscribers, and doing that right out of the gates. Also, if you're new to it, make your subscribers understand how you leverage it. All right, Amanda, take us home. An idea for May, something you're excited about on the horizon.
Yeah, I would say we have a couple exciting Instagram lives coming up with our CEO and a couple guest speakers. So I think those are really great ways to kind of keep our SMS list engaged. And then a couple other things for Lomi. Spring/summer is just a really, the seasonality is just like the perfect time to be promoting, gardening and composting and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's really important to be sending out those campaigns that are, maybe tips and tricks or linking to our blogs or just repurposing that type of content. So it's not always like sales or trying to push the product. I think it's really, really valuable to be sending out that content to your subscribers.
Awesome. Leading into time of year, super important. All right, we are right about at time. Thank you all for joining us today, for being so engaged in the chat, for asking wonderful questions of our panelists. We have lots of webinars in the works for the upcoming year, so be sure to sign up for our newsletter. It was mentioned a couple of times today to find out what is coming. And thank you for joining. And a huge, huge thanks to Amanda, Hillary, and Shannon for taking time out of their busy schedules and sharing their expertise with our community. It was such a treat, and we will see you all next time. Thanks so much.